They see me now. They see me now as the guy that with his shirt off who can do 4,030 pull-ups in 17 hours, who can run 205 miles in 39 hours, who can do all this crazy shit. But what they don't understand is they don't understand the journey that it took me to get to this point. In my mind, I was always afraid. My whole life I was afraid, but I had this voice, this conscience that would always be battling me, saying, hey, you got to get up and do something. My dad, it was about the business, the skating rink and the bar. So the skating rink opened about 7 o'clock at night, and this is when the time I was able to walk. So about 4, 5, 6 years old, 8, 9, and I would go to this skating rink at 7 o'clock at night, and I worked the skating rink until 10 at night. And then we would scrape the gum off the floors, and we cleaned the whole skating rink up. And then my dad had an office, and my brother and myself would sleep in the office, and my mom would go upstairs and work the bar until 3 o'clock in the morning. Going to school rarely happened. So when I went to school, I was all kind of, my learning disability. I had social anxiety. I was just a jacked up kid from living in this tortured home. My mom got courage to finally leave him when I was about 8 years old. We moved to a small town in Brazil, Indiana, and that's when the real war started for me. All the insecurities I had when I was a kid with my father, I moved into this area here, and it just got worse and worse and worse. And the shit haunted me. And that voice that I talked about, it kept talking louder and louder and louder, but I was doing nothing about it. My mom and I, for a while, we lived in the government subsidized apartments, $7 a month, and also food stamps. And we slowly moved up to a $230 a month place. But at the time, we were pretty poor. My mom afforded enough money for me to go to see a tutor one hour a week. So for 4 hours a month, I had 6 months to study for my last test. I could only take the ASVAB test 3 times. And I studied my ass off and passed it. And I got in the Air Force and realized there was more things in front of me. But 6 weeks into the program, there was about 25 guys left out of about 150. I was there, and I didn't go to sleep for 6 weeks of the program. And I wanted to quit so badly, but I quit everything in my life. I copied through school. I wanted to prove people wrong. 6 weeks into the program, the doctor gave me a blood test. It was I have sickle cell trait, not the anemia, but it still killed people. But so they put me out training for a week, and when you go from being very uncomfortable in that water situation, and then now you're comfortable, and I'm sitting back watching the guys drown, I didn't want to get back in that damn water again. So the fear overcame me, and all my insecurities from my dad, from this small town, from everything started coming back. And even though no one knew how fucked up I was, I lived with this shit all the time. Me not wanting to go back in that water, the doctor called me back up. I thought I was going to get like a medical kick out of the military. So no quitting for me. They'll kick me out so I can have some pride. The doctor said, no, man, we could put you back in the training. And I was like, but after a week, I'm like, you know what? I missed 1 week. There's only 3 weeks left. There's a good chance, I could tough this shit out and go on. But I went back to the CO and the commanding officer of the program, and the sergeant said, hey, you got to start from day one. I broke. I couldn't imagine going back through that again. So I made up a lie. And I said, man, the sickle cell thing is really scaring me, and I pretty much quit. Even though they gave me a medical, I quit. From the age of 19 to the age of 22, I went and did a job called TAC-P, and I gained 125 pounds in that time frame. I went from 175 to almost 300. And I started finding things that was comfortable. And the more things I found comfortable, the more uncomfortable my mind was. Because that voice I was telling you about, it always was there. I was just trying to avoid that conscience. I wanted to be left alone from that conscience, and it wouldn't leave me alone. So I got out of the Air Force, And I started working for a job called Ecolab, where he sprayed for cockroaches. And what changed, I came home and watched this Discovery Channel show, Class 224. That's where everything changed for me. I was taking a shower, I walked out, heard these guys, and I watched the show. And it made me reflect big time on the piece of shit that I am, and I'm exactly what people said I was going to be. A lot of us have these fears that you just don't want to fucking face. I have a lot of them. I had a lot of them. But I was watching these guys going through Hell Week, Class 224, and these guys ringing the bell, quitting, dropping their helmet down, rolling out. A lot of guys just leaving. And it made me reflect on my fears, my insecurities. And I saw real men, what I thought were real men who were staying, who were overcoming adversity, who were overcoming all these different things that I had blamed so many fucking people in my life. And so I sat there for a while and I was like, man, I gotta fucking, I got it. No one's gonna fucking come to help me. No one's gonna fucking come to help me. It's fucking me against me, period. I had to man up. And I said, the first thing I gotta start doing is facing every fucking fear I have. People who are hearing this shit, they will never really understand and grasp when you face these things and so many things, how they keep you up and haunt you at night. I had two options: to either be that 300-pound guy at 24 years old, knowing when I'm 50 fucking years old, I can reflect on this and think about what guy I never became, or I can totally just sack it up and fail and fail and fail until I succeed. So I called all these recruiters up and all of them said, hey, how tall are you, blah, 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 blah. They got into conversation to see if I was even qualified. And by the time I got to my weight, phone would hang up pretty much like, hey, you know what, call somebody else, try to get in the reserves. So I tried to get in the reserves. And I called this guy named Steven Salgio, recruiter, up. And he said, hey, come on in. To get into the class I had to lose 106 pounds in less than 3 months. So I was like, fuck that, I can't do that. I grabbed my chocolate milkshake and went back to Ecolab. I'm going back to work, man. This is my life. This next morning or this next night, I went to work and I hit the mother load of cockroaches. And this restaurant got full of cockroaches and rodents and everything else. And I sat there and said, this is my life. I said, this is my life. You are exactly who the fuck, this is it. And I said, this ain't gonna be it for me. So in that restaurant, I quit my job, left my canister in that restaurant, my spray canister, got back in my Ecolab truck, and I went home. And I started working out like somebody, I became the most obsessed person on the planet Earth. I had to invent a guy that didn't exist. I had to invent a guy that can take any pain, any suffering, any kind of judgment. I had to build this callous mind, and I built it through suffering. I built it through downright fucking just crushing myself. If it was raining outside at 3 o'clock in the fucking morning, if it was snowing, the first instinct is don't go out there and do shit. My instinct was, we gotta fucking go out there. Anything that was fucking horrible in my life that I would normally say no, that was inhumane to most people, I had to go do it. And I lost the weight. And I went back to recruiter. I got into that class and I went through 3 Navy SEAL Hell Weeks in 1 year. The first one I didn't make it through, the next 2 I did. I didn't stop anymore from there. And I started realizing through this process that the fucking mind is what you created. And I started opening different doors that I didn't think were even there, that I didn't think even existed. And the more doors I opened up, the more I started realizing that my potential is damn near endless. And it changed my whole mindset. So I went from David Goggins and I created Goggins. That journey is a priceless journey that is hard for me to even explain to people because it sounds so quick and easy. It was brutal. It's a brutal journey every fucking day. to get through where I became, to get through where I'm at now, there's nothing but pride I have for myself that I can't really show people. I'm driven. I'm obsessed. And that's what you see.